Hello, lovelies. Welcome to the Living Richly Lounge. Today's live is all about transitioning from operating from need to desire. So I'm so happy that you're here today. As you hop on, say hello. If you're watching the replay, also welcome. Say hello and pop in hashtag replay so that I can come back and say hi to you. And to kick things off while we wait for people to hop on, let's check in on crystals. I think crystals is a fun topic. What is your favorite crystal? You can share in the comments. And if you're totally new to crystals, that's okay too. You can say, I don't know yet. And then maybe I will pick a crystal for you. Hey, Christine, so happy to see you here. Welcome. Yeah, let me know what your favorite crystal is as you're hopping on, and then we will start diving into needs and desires. My favorite crystal right now, mine changes really regularly. For those of you who don't know, I've been working with crystals since I was a kid. I used to get me and my sister would get $2 allowance, and my dad would take us to a local rock shop. That's where I would spend my allowance, on rocks. And so they're very near and dear to my heart. They're very sacred to me. And I think right now, actually, this might be the first time it's ever been my favorite, but I think my favorite right now is black tourmaline. This one is black tourmaline. All right. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm realizing that maybe sometimes my earrings pop on. Ooh, yeah, I have a raw jade that my grandfather mined from BC, and it has quartz in the middle. Wow. That sounds amazing. You'll have to share a picture sometime, Christine. I would love to see it. It's always extra special when someone that you know has mined it or found it, which is, an important aspect of, of ethical sourcing of crystals. Oh, nice, Christine. I'm glad that you just found some black tourmaline. It's very special. Great. All right, well, let's dive in. If we haven't met yet and you are new here, I'm so happy that you've found your way to the Living Richly Lounge and to me, Allison Braun. I'm a business and life success coach, energetic strategist, and I work with really gifted, established, wildly generous coaches, healers, service providers in all kinds of realms, but it's very important to me that they're really good at what they do and they love what they do and they care about humans and making a difference in the world. And I support them in working less, feeling like they're working less, and enjoying more spaciousness in their life so that they can really enjoy the things that matter to them most and create their greatest work in the world. So helping them get out of the nitty-gritty of their business and more into the things that they really enjoy and making more money in the process. Sweet. Okay, so that's a perfect segue into desire, right? Because often we have these desires, but there can be this contradicting belief system. It's like that desire can start to bubble up within you, but then it gets shut down so quickly. And our desires can get shut down really quickly for a couple different reasons. One, if you are someone who has been operating from need for a really long time, I can relate. I also have operated from need for most of my life, really happily and proudly. It's like being really responsible and receiving the most out of what I have access to, and just being really good, quote unquote, good with money. And over the last, I would say, 1 to 2 years, not to say like I haven't been operating out of desire for a really long time. I mean, I'm good at what I do. I've been doing it for over a decade. there's been plenty of desire coming in here, but over the last couple of years, I've really started to recognize how deep the patterning is of, well, if I don't really need it, then desire be gone, right? And desires are not rational. Desires are not necessarily logical. Desires are not needs. A lot of the time, they are something that is beyond a need. And so a couple years ago, I really started transitioning into being a woman who is willing to follow her desires even when they're irrational, even when I do not need them, and to give myself full permission to let myself have more than what I need. I think for most of us that are drawn here, right, that is something that matters to us, is allowing ourselves and seeing ourselves as someone who is worthy of more than the bare necessities, who can have more than what she needs and can experience this overflow of love, this overflow of support, this overflow of beautiful experiences, overflow of financial abundance and financial resources to not only be able to take care of the needs and have support, but also to have an amazing travel experience and to stay somewhere that's beautiful, and to also buy a new outfit that's really aligned and sustainable and eco-friendly, and to also be able to give to causes that matter. It's like, what happens when we can have all of those things versus having to choose? It's like, okay, well, I can have this or I can have this. Which one's more important right now? It's like we have to start opening up to the idea that we can have more than what we need. And I remember when a lot of this topic started to come up and be present for me, it's like, but I do have needs. But I do have needs. Of course we have needs. And when we really look at everything as a need that we have to take care of, it's almost like the energy constricts a little bit. Our energy starts to constrict a little bit. When we need something, sometimes we can grasp onto something a little bit more than is supportive to us. And we can start to go a little bit into lack or scarcity versus the expansive energy of like, ooh, desire. Why is this important to me? Why do I really want this? And like, what would happen if I let myself have this? If I let myself receive this? And it just really shifts the energy. Even looking at needs, like paying your mortgage and the phone bill and some buying food, looking at those things from a place of desire can also shift the energy that we start to look at things from. One of the core things that we do in the business pleasure map right at the very beginning is we look at not only what we want, but why we want it, including the essential things like paying our mortgage. Like, what feeling do we desire to have in these experiences? Paying your car loan or car insurance. It's like, those aren't necessarily sexy things. But when you think about like why it's important to you, it's like what feelings you want to feel around it, all of a sudden it shifts the energy of it from a like, I have to take care of this. I have to, I need to ooh, I get to, and like, wow, what is this bringing into my life? It's so beautiful. It's so sweet. It's so whatever the feeling is that you're desiring. And that's what we want to be doing, because the more we shift our relationship to how we see where we're spending our money, the more we can open up to desires coming through and actually letting ourselves receive them, because we are appreciating what we have in our life right now in this moment. So that is a little piece of homework that you can start playing with this week, is like anything where you have identified as like a have to, like where you have to spend your money on a certain thing. See if you can shift your perspective into a, ooh, I get to spend my money on this. And how do I want to feel as I'm putting my money there? And what's the gratitude and experience that I want to have with that financial exchange? And I promise you, you will watch your life change. You'll watch your life change. So much of living richly is around allowing ourselves to feel rich now. Not when we have this or when we have that or when we make this much or when we have that successful launch. It's about living richly right now and allowing ourselves to receive everything we have available to us in this moment. And shifting our perspective on where we're giving our money is a really key step in that experience. It allows us to receive more, and the more we can receive, the more we can receive. And when we start to look at things this way, it allows us to open up more to allowing these bigger desires and dreams to come through in a way where we don't squish them right away, where we don't shut them down. Because I had operated from need for so long, I remember, I don't know, this was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. And I started having, like, things were going so well in my business, so well, better than ever, better than I could have imagined. I was like, this is amazing. And I started to have these bigger desires start to pop up. But really immediately, when it wasn't something that I knew that I could create right away, when it was something I didn't know the how of, I started to shut it down. When it was something that I didn't really need, I was like, oh, I would go into like, oh, that's going to be really hard to maintain, or it's going to be more work than it's worth. And well, I don't really want to be responsible for that. So it's like all of those thoughts started to take over the desire, instead of letting the desire be like this yummy, beautiful thing that I get to play with and explore and see where I'm guided to, versus having to figure out the how and then getting overwhelmed and needing to shut it down. Have you guys had that experience before of having a desire pop up but then immediately shutting it down? I'd love to hear what it was. What was that desire that came through for you that you felt like you immediately went into trying to figure out the how, got overwhelmed, snuffed it out? So if this is something that you can relate to, and if you can't relate to, share that in the comments as well. But if this is something that you can relate to, another thing that we can start to do is look at like, okay, I feel this desire coming through. It's like bringing a new level of awareness to it. Okay, normally, up until now, I would have tried to figure out the how. Instead of trying to figure out the how and the timeline and the resources, what I'm going to do is just let myself feel what it feels like to have this desire. I'm going to let myself daydream for a moment, just let it sink in. It doesn't have to be for a long time. It might even just be a minute or two. And then just let it go. So instead of having to figure it out and squishing it, and also instead of grasping onto it and trying to hold on to it, just let yourself be in the feel-good feelings of it, of like, oh, this is a really big desire, or wow, I've never had this desire before. Let yourself feel it and then just let it go. And see how it starts to pop back in different ways. And again, instead of trying to figure out the how, just let yourself be with it. And once you are like, oh yes, this is for sure a desire. This is something I want to go for. Even if it feels really big and it's not likely going to happen tomorrow, not that it couldn't, but some of those big dreams take a little bit of time. So then you're just going to allow yourself to start asking for guidance. What is my action step today to bring me closer to this desire? What is my action step to bring me closer to this desire? Such a simple question, but it's something that you can be checking in on weekly, daily, monthly, to just see what are the most important things that you can be doing to be taking steps towards that. Because the how the how is likely going to be too big of a concept for your mind and the desire to have put into place. It immediately starts to restrict it. You can play with, like, in a fun way of like, oh, what are the possible ways that this could happen? And again, let it be this fun experience versus like, how is it going to happen? And like trying to like figure it out. Again, two very different experiences. We want to stay more in the feminine with this and let our creative minds flow. Because when we do that, we open up to a different pathway, a different timeline than the structure, linear, logical mind could figure out. And when we go down that path, we start to limit opportunities, limit connections, limit these like really wildly creative ways that this desire could actually come into our reality. And it happens to me when I think of buying a huge house. Yeah, it's like, okay, well, that seems like a little bit unrealistic. I don't really need that, or that'll be really hard to maintain. So like, okay, I better just like go want this over here. Versus letting yourself have that desire, just letting it be there, and know that you might have stepping stones to get there. You might not go from a 1-bedroom apartment to a $10 million mansion, but maybe you have a beautiful home that's in the middle, which opens you up to a new belief system that allows you to step into this place and then this place. So I find the desires that are hardest for me is when they're just so big, just like so out of my my current reality, that I'm like, this is just crazy. This is just crazy. But it's like strengthening a whole new muscle group to learn how to just like let that desire be, let myself continue to see it, and see where I'm guided in the process to stepping into that. And between now and then, that desire might shift and evolve and look a little bit different. It might get even better, but at least I'm not shutting it down because I don't need it, or shutting it down because I don't believe it's possible. So it's a very different way of looking at things, but it really starts to open ourselves up to having experiences, rich experiences that we couldn't have planned for, that we certainly don't need, and that are better than what we could have even imagined. And this isn't just about money, right? This is about connections in relationship. This is about experiences with our physical body. This can be experiences with, trying to think of like other things, like travel experiences, clothes that we wear. You know, a lot of it does have to do with money. Money is a part of it, but it's not the only part of it. And there's a lot of things that have nothing to do with money, specifically relationship and physical body health stuff. So we can play in these realms and let more in. I think that's the biggest message that I really want to land for you today. It's that you are meant not only for more, but better than what you've been letting yourself have up until this point. You are allowed to want more and to want better. The desire is like this. It's a beautiful part of the human experience, especially from the feminine side of things. So let yourself play with it. Let yourself have fun with it. Remove timelines from it and let yourself just be, and see how much starts to open up to you from that place. So I'd love for you to share in the comments. Actually, we'll do a quick little exercise before we wrap up. I wanted today to be a little bit of a shorter one, but we'll do a little exercise, a really short exercise, and then we'll do a little share. So if you're in this space right now where you can close your eyes, go ahead and do that. And just start to bring your awareness to your breath. If you can, feel free to roll your shoulders back. And see if you can let your spine be a little bit straighter. You can also do this laying down if that feels good to you, but if you're sitting up or laying down, just making sure that your spine is as straight as possible. It's like this is your channel, letting it be as clear as possible. And letting yourself breathe in. Breathe in hope. With each inhale, just like hope and possibility and desire. And with each exhale, releasing any resistance, doubts, or fears. And as you are inhaling, letting yourself open up to a desire that may be new to you, or maybe it's been bubbling at the surface for a while, or it popped up previously, but you did kind of shut it down, or you haven't let it fully come through. So you're just going to start tuning into what is this desire that's starting to come to the surface. And depending on which sense tends to be the most heightened for you, you might hear guidance, you might see it, you might feel it, maybe you can taste it. Just see and feel what you notice. Paying attention to what's happening in your body as you open up to letting this desire come through. Taking as much time as you need. If you're watching the replay, you can pause this if you need more time here. And often another thing that can hold us back in regards to desires is this feeling that we have to be crystal clear. It's like, oh, I can't see all the details, so I don't really know what I desire. So every time you say, I don't know, you're reinforcing the idea that you don't know, when in reality, there is a lot that you do know. There's a lot of clarity that you do have. And in this moment, just letting whatever clarity is coming up, let that be enough. So you might not see the whole picture, but maybe you're feeling a feeling. It's like the desire can be related to a feeling, a specific place or a specific person. And you might not have any of those details, but have a different detail. So just letting whatever is coming through to come through. Really celebrating and honoring yourself for whatever your experience has been with this so far, even if it's just recognizing that you notice some constriction in your solar plexus area or your heart. Or just recognizing, okay, what I do know is this one feeling that I want. That is my desire. I'm clear on that. Or maybe it's a whole new desire that you're opening up to. So really celebrating and honoring whatever's present. And if you want to stay here, feel free to stay here as long as you desire. And if you feel like there's been a couple of nuggets that have come through for you, you can gently open your eyes, coming back to the room, and share in the comments what you noticed. What did you notice in your body? And what came through for you? And this is another important part of the process when it comes to desires. Sometimes we need to hold our desires close to our heart and only share them with people that we really, really trust. So if that's what you feel right now, that's great. Honor that, trust that. And sometimes we really need to use our throat chakra and to name it and claim it, especially in a space where we aren't going to be judged. So I just want to preface here that I will celebrate whatever desire you name here today without judgment. And if you see other people sharing in the thread here their desires, celebrate them too. Whatever it may be, let's cheer each other on with our desires. So whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and just share whatever came through for you. Hi, Caitlin. Welcome. And while you are sharing, I'll just share a little detail of something that came through. Some of you might have received this email today. If you're on my email list. If not, you'll want to get on it. Feel free to pop a comment in the questions if you would like to join in to make sure that you do receive these emails. So today I shared how one of my clients from a Work Less, Make More intensive went from feeling kind of like uninspired and drained in his business, and he had been really successful in his business financially. He'd been doing it for a long time, but there was a lot of things that he was doing that didn't feel right to him for that money to come in. Not that they were bad. This is a very integral person, but they just didn't feel, they felt more masculine and like out of alignment for where he was at. And so he cut them out, and his income went down to $20,000 a month, which is still great, by the way. But he was like, he came to me because he was like, I really want to keep expanding my business and increasing my income considerably, but I want to do it in a way where like I feel so good about my business, so passionate about my business and my work, and where I'm taking really good care of myself in the process and still making more money. But he didn't totally believe that it was possible. There was a part of him that like questioned if he would be able to do that. And this is a really common experience for more of like the soulful people, which is most people in my field, where it's like, I'm not willing to compromise my integrity and my values and the experience to make more money, but also I want to be making more money. So it's like this weird thing where they're kind of like, well, I don't know if I fully believe that I can make more the way that I really want to, so I'm just going to stay here. And so in today's email, I shared a case study around how this relationship coach went from $20,000 months, feeling drained and uninspired, to $120,000 months, while feeling more excited and passionate about his business than he has in 5 years. And doing it in a way with like total integrity, tons of spaciousness, tons of self-care, like so beautiful in 90 days. And this was from a one-on-one intensive. All of that happened in a span of 90 days and an intensive. So if you would like the details on the behind the scenes of this process that I took him through, the case study, just pop case study in the comments and I'll make sure that you get access to it. And here we go. I see a couple comments coming in. Anna, I feel blessed and grateful while experiencing my desires. Blessed and grateful. Beautiful. So again, like this is one of the things that you have access to right now. It's like, great. If I know that I feel blessed when I'm in a state of gratitude, and the way that I want to feel is blessed and grateful, okay, like that's something that you can build into your day. A gratitude practice where you really let yourself sit with it until you start feeling a sense of blessed. And then from that place, you can maybe check in and like, oh, what are my desires for today? And then let yourself step into that. So there's so many fun ways that we can open up to operating from our desires versus like the absolute bare necessity needs. And it is a big transition, but we we can start making that transition right now, no matter what our circumstances are. We can start enjoying the journey now, no matter what the circumstances are. We don't have to wait until we have all of these things to let desires in, or to have the experience that we want to have, or to feel the way that we want to feel. We can start letting that in now, and the more that we do that, the more we open up to our bigger desires. So I hope that there is a new desire planted on your heart today, or maybe that your heart opened up to a desire that was already there but not being given space. And I would love to hear what it is in the comments. If you share while watching the replay, just pop it in with #replay and feel free to tag me so that I can come back in and celebrate you. And I am wishing you the most beautiful Friday and weekend. We will see you very soon. Bye, everyone.